Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. New NBA rumors reveal team Jimmy Butler most wants to land with, two contenders he surprisingly has no interest in joining. A new report reveals the one team Jimmy Butler is hoping to be traded to before February 6. As well as a pair of legit contenders he surprisingly doesn't want to join. There have been few bigger stories in the NBA over the last couple of weeks than the ongoing drama between Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. In the summer, trade rumors swirled after reports claimed he was looking for a new max contract extension the team had no interest in giving him. But since the season started, it seemed like he would play out the season and opt out of the final year of his deal. But then things got weird. After making veiled comments about a willingness to be traded, the Heat came out with a definitive public statement that they wouldn't trade him. The future Hall of Famer followed that up by claiming in a press conference he lost his joy for the game and didn't think he could recapture it in Miami. The organization responded by suspending him for 7 games. Now, it looks like a trade is a matter of when, not if. However, finding the right trade partner that meets what the Heat would want in a deal has proven difficult. But if it was up to Butler himself, NBA insider Jake Fisher claimed on Wednesday the Phoenix Suns is the team the 6-time All-Star hopes to land with. Word has permeated the league that Butler hopes to be traded to Phoenix, Fisher revealed in a Steinline column. This is no exaggeration. Every high-ranking team official contacted by the Steinline for this story shared their belief that the Suns are the destination Butler desires on the other side of his standoff with the Heat. The consistent word in circulation is that Butler wants to land in the desert. Not only to play alongside Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but because Suns owner Matt Ishbia has a proven willingness to splash out the lucrative contract extension he has been unable to secure from the Heat. Jimmy Butler contract, 3 years, $146.3 million, while the 6-time All-Star hopes to land in the desert for at least the rest of the season. According to the NBA insider, there are 2 contenders Butler hopes don't get involved in the trade chase. Those are the Memphis Grizzlies and Milwaukee Bucks. The 35-year-old would be a great addition to either team. However, giving up premium assets for a rental that doesn't want to be there would not be a good move for either franchise. Celtics' worst nightmare in Jimmy Butler drama could become reality. The Boston Celtics got the job done last season. After years of falling short, they finally brought home Banner 18 to TD Garden. And they did it in dominant fashion. Nobody they squared off against in the postseason, outside of the Indiana Pacers, gave them a real fight, and the Celtics swept them in the Eastern Conference Finals. For as amazing as Boston's run was, they didn't have to face any of their usual foes. Most notably, Jimmy Butler wasn't available to play in the Celtics' first-round matchup with the Miami Heat. The very guy who knocked them out of the playoffs a year earlier wasn't there. And now, though the Heat may not be a huge threat, Butler still looms large. And a Celtics nightmare has the potential to become a reality. Butler's time in Miami is coming to a close. He officially requested a trade away from the Heat, noting that he'd rather play literally anywhere else outside of Miami. Though it seems more likely that Butler will get traded to a Western Conference team based on the situations and finances around the league, there's still a chance he stays in the East. And if that happens, Boston would be less than pleased. Butler has been the Celtics' biggest playoff killer of the last 5 years, and if he lands on a team that they could end up facing in the postseason, there's a chance that reality could happen again. The Milwaukee Bucks may be the most frightening team Butler could end up on. They are a second-apron team right now, so they cannot trade for him without making other moves first. However, if they find a way to dump Pat Connaughton's salary, they could technically find a way to make a Butler deal work, however unlikely it is. Other teams in the East that could make it work include the Orlando Magic, Detroit Pistons, and Indiana Pacers, but again, all of those situations are imperfect. Orlando is so injured that they may rather do nothing until their guys come back. The Pistons probably don't want to rush anything, and the Pacers would have to gut their depth to trade for Butler. Still, if they or any other teams in the East feel any inclination to trade for Butler, there's a chance Boston could see that squad in the playoffs. And as Butler proved just a couple of years ago, play-in teams can be just as dangerous as playoff teams. It may not be super likely that Butler ends up in the East, but if he does, the Celtics could be seeing ghosts come playoff time, no matter what jersey he's wearing. Jimmy Butler wants Phoenix, but the Suns are playing a tough hand. The Phoenix Suns find themselves at a fascinating crossroads, with Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler making eyes at the Valley like a long-distance admirer. The entire NBA knows his destination of choice, and it's not hard to understand why. The prospect of joining forces with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, coupled with Matt Ishbia's reputation for generous contract extensions, makes Phoenix an enticing landing spot. This is no exaggeration. Every high-ranking team official contacted by the Stein line for this story shared their belief that the Suns are the destination Butler desires on the other side of his standoff with the Heat, Jake Fisher wrote in the latest edition of the People's Insider publication. But here's where reality slams into wishful thinking. The Bradley Beal situation hangs over everything like a stubborn storm cloud refusing to rain over our thirsty desert. It's been since August 22 since it last rained in Phoenix. Miami has already made it known that they want nothing to do with Beal's bloated contract, which means any trade scenario hinges on a third team stepping in. Even more crucially, it depends on Beal waiving his no-trade clause, something he seems in no rush to entertain. As he made clear with his icy "I hold the cards" reminder to reporters on Monday, Beal isn't budging unless it's on his terms. It appears that Beal has no desire at this point to lay those cards down. There have been no discussions about trades with the Suns or any other team, his agent, and Suns CEO Josh Bartelstein's brother, Mark Bartelstein said. Bradley's total focus is on helping the Suns turn things around. Meanwhile, the Suns continue to struggle through a disappointing 16-19 season, most recently stumbling against the lowly Hornets. The front office finds itself in an increasingly difficult position, carefully navigating around Beal's no-trade clause while exploring ways to improve the league's most expensive roster. They're holding onto their sole tradable first-round pick, 2031, like a precious resource in a barren landscape. The organization's mindset stays strangely upbeat, holding tight to the rosy memory of their 8-1 start when everyone was healthy. But at this point, that feels more like a mirage than a foundation, especially as the team keeps falling into the same troubling cycle, stepping up against short-handed teams like the Sixers one night, only to stumble through games against bottom feeders the next. With the trade deadline 4 weeks away, this Butler saga appears headed for a stalemate. The Warriors have cooled their interest, Memphis doesn't quite fit, and Phoenix remains hamstrung by their own previous moves. It's a complex chess game where every piece matters, but several key pieces seem immovable. This is the reality of Suns basketball in 2025. A team with championship aspirations trapped in a web of their own making, hoping that somehow, the pieces will finally align to match their considerable ambitions. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.